Yes, we are so glad today to have Ashley Brown, our new member with Connor Insurance. And she is going to share. And so we're just going to give you the floor, Ashley. We've got about 15 minutes left. So go for it.
Perfect. All right, let me try to figure this out here real quick again.
I think you got it.
Okay.
Here you go.
So,
Cool.
yeah, guys, thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited about this group. I do have some people that I'm hoping can jump on next week as well in terms of partners, but worked with Courtney for so long, so she obviously has a little bit of a background about what I do and kind of what makes my agency a little bit different, but here's my information here. I did want to go over just a couple of things about Connor Insurance directly. So we're actually a third generation family owned company. We're approaching, this is incorrect, it's actually 73 years. This year is our anniversary. But we do have 3 different departments. I specialize in personal insurance, but we do also have like the benefits department that helps with like employee benefits, health insurance. We actually now can do personal health insurance. If you ever have anyone that's kind of looking for things outside of the personal insurance realm in terms of home and auto, I can connect you over to my team. And then we do commercial insurance as well. I think the one thing that stands us apart, and we'll kind of go over this in a little bit, is we have everything internal. So we are a local agency, but we do actually write in all 50 states. So I am able to kind of help some out-of-state investors. If they have some of the properties that are here in Indiana, we're able to help them on the home and auto insurance end. So that kind of makes us stand out from a couple different agencies is our licensing agreement. Oh, and there it is. I added it. Specifically me, I've been with Connor a little over 6 years. I was in the captive world before, so I was a State Farm agent. So I'm very familiar with both spheres of the insurance carriers. Our agency works with a little over 25 companies. It makes us a little bit more unique is that we can actually write properties that are maybe being non-renewed by other companies. Some of the things I've highlighted in red here, these are things that some of the standard companies like a State Farm, American Family, Farm Bureau is not so maybe able to write or flexible to write. So I do partner with a lot of people in terms of, real estate agents, mortgage professionals, where if you're ever having someone that's having a hard time finding insurance or finding the right policy, we have a lot of options. So we can do private flood insurance. We actually can I personally can write wedding insurance, is becoming very popular now that COVID's out and everyone's kind of able to get back in those venues. We can write that liability protection. And then I also have private client options, which is a sphere outside of the standard market. So think about, high value homes, high network homes, maybe over like, 1 to 2 million. There's a program that once you qualify, you're able to be in these companies that specialize in this type of insurance. So it's really important to make sure that the way that makes me a little bit different is I do a lot of questions up front to determine kind of where to place this person. Should it be in the market of the private sector or should it be in the standard market? So these are just some of the things that I can kind of help clients with that maybe some other companies can't. In terms of my actual internal agency, I take a lot of pride in actually being able to help service my clients. So I think that's one thing that stands out a little bit different than maybe some other people in my sphere. Our agency is very, very proactive about renewals. And I don't think that there's another agent in the Indianapolis market, but honestly, I think in this nation that's as proactive as annual reviews. So every one of our clients gets an email 45 days before they renew. If it goes up a certain price, we're actually reshopping them automatically through all 25 of our companies. But I think the most important thing is engagement. So we want to know, did they have occupation changes? Did they have a marital change? Did they graduate? Did they have a baby? What's crazy now is that these insurance companies are now offering discounts for these types of credits. So this is one of the first years on my whole, and I've been in insurance for about 10 years, that I'm seeing occupation now be a discount. So if you're in, you know, the medical field, if you're a police officer, that's actually a credit that we can give back to our clients now. So these are questions that our agency is proactive on and asking those so we can get the best price for our clients. One thing that makes us stand out as well is that we actually back last October, so she just hit her 1 year anniversary, is that we hired an internal claims, we call her an advocate for our clients. She's essentially the claims manager. So what she does is she serves as a liaison between the carriers that we write with and our agency. So she sits 2 desks behind me. I always know what's going on with every claim. And I think that that is so valuable right now in this market. The way that the pandemic has kind of hit corporate companies is they're short-staffed. I don't want my clients to have to wait on hold. That's not, in my eyes, kind of something that I think that they should be responsible for. So Derica kind of makes those hard calls. She calls adjusters. She'll send local recommendations out. So again, she works very closely with Carly. My remediation company is kind of one of my top tiered remediation companies. So she's there to kind of handhold through the process because it could be very overwhelming and very intimidating. She's there to kind of buffer that situation, and I can't believe how well she's doing. So I'm very excited to keep her on the team. And then in terms of my actual book itself, I do have 4 account managers that are always in the office when I'm in these meetings as well, that actually would assist with policy changes, claims, renewal questions, billing questions. And I think that that's super important in this market right now because there's some other brokerages that I see that that's maybe not happening in terms of internal servicing. So again, it's about just creating that relationship with the client, making sure they can call someone local and actually help them if something were to happen. I did talk about a couple of the unique risks as well. These are just some of my standard companies that I work with as well. So again, we have about 25 companies we can shop. I think the most important thing is, again, working with an actual agent. I didn't mention this in the last slide, but what I'm seeing oftentimes is that some people are maybe calling some of the companies directly, which is completely fine. As a reminder, that's something that can always, you can always do. There's always a 24-hour line that you can call with any company, but the value of an actual agent is to be there to help servicing. So I mentioned back with Derica, what I'm seeing right now in the market, which is quite frustrating on my end to try to explain this with the client, is I'm seeing a lot of like a progressive direct policy. They call up the 1-800 number, they go through the policy, and they sign up with them. What happens in that scenario is that if they ever have to file a claim, they have to call that number directly, the 1-800 number, instead of a local agent. I'm seeing maybe they were hit and it wasn't their fault. That's a big one. I'm seeing maybe they're just trying to see, hey, do I have wind and hail damage on my roof? And they're trying to see what their options are. What's frustrating is that when that happens, there's no other option whether they just have to file the claim through the 1-800 number. There has to be a claim number generated for any person at the 1-800 number to talk about the policy. When I see it come through on my end is when I'm reshopping them because they're frustrated at their first renewal. Let's say that claim was under the deductible, not covered, or was not their fault and they got hit by someone that was in an auto accident and that other person was at fault. What's frustrating is that they call me a year later saying that they want me to work up new quotes. Unfortunately, that $0 loss that's on file is going to surcharge their policy no matter who you're with for 3 years. It is so important to make sure the person has a local agent so that they can go through. We as an insurance corporate something that they don't need to know. So we're here to bat for our clients. So that's kind of a hard, thing that I'm to recently is the importance of just working with someone that can go through the best interest of them. And I kind of talked about this, but this is some of the things I'm kind of seeing on the back end. So again, maybe Courtney, you've probably seen this a lot where we work with a lot of real estate and mortgage professionals, and that person buying the house might be with a direct company like a Progressive is very common.
Yeah.
When I quote my Progressive policies, I'm seeing tons of discounts being missed. So I'm able to get the policy lower with a better coverage and a better price. So not only is it important to make sure that, someone could be with a carrier that I contract with, but not all rates are the same. Not all agents are putting the same information in there. So that's, again, about education and just making sure that they're asking the right questions and going through every single policy discount that's available. Especially with this market right now, I'm seeing a lot of people that are maybe insuring at market value versus replacement cost. As a first-time home buyer, that is something I know it could be a little bit overwhelming. I try to make this process as less intimidating and less overwhelming as possible. So I think what makes me stand apart just a little bit is the way that I present this information. So typically, Courtney, you're usually CC'd, and I can send this out to everyone. I usually send the initial email out that kind of lists some of the most important coverages I like to highlight. I attach the PDF document, and I say, hey, let me know the best time to go over this together. And this is exactly what I talk about in every single time I go to quote a homeowner's policy. What I'm seeing on new purchases is sometimes they're overinsured, to be honest. What I would hate to say is that they're underinsured, which is right now what I'm seeing on every policy on renewals. The way that the pandemic has really, driven the price of homes to increase, I'm seeing people that have been with their agent maybe, 10, even 5 years, and their dwelling protection is underinsured, which to me is quite frightening. I want to make sure, heaven forbid, you have a family, you have the means to go and rebuild your home so that you're not stuck. So that's a conversation where I typically ask for declaration pages if it's a midterm review, but I'm also very transparent in saying I don't think there's some agents that actually completed the replacement cost estimator accurately. And that's one thing that me and my team, we go over every single question that's on an estimator. So there's things that agents, there's defaults that can be used in the system. It'll say, 80% brick, 20% vinyl exterior of a home. Me and my team are going in and we are tweaking every single item in that estimator to make sure that you're adequately insured. So I think that's one thing, is that I'm going to tell you if you're overinsured, and I'm definitely going to tell you if you're underinsured. And I don't think that every agent will do that. So those are just some things that I'm seeing maybe on some policies right now. In the market themselves, I'm seeing a lot of flood insurance come into question. So if you guys have any questions on flood, I'm seeing that some people don't necessarily need it anymore because they're in an X-rated zone now. And vice versa, I'm actually seeing some people that are going to sell their property and now they're in an A-rated zone. So if you ever have anyone that's kind of, am I in a flood zone? That's actually extremely easy for a local agent to run the determination letter. Personally, me, all I need is the address. I don't even need to know the name of the client. So I would love to be a resource for anyone that's maybe looking, or you're kind of hearing that in the market, oh, flood insurance. Happy to be a resource. I actually have been specialized in that for about 7 years, and we have a lot of different markets that are available. I'm not going to talk about these other things, but that's it. I made this short and sweet. So I hope you guys made kind of learned a little bit more about me and what I do, but I'd be happy to share these slides with you guys if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Ashley. I love it. Your presentation's amazing. I love it. I never knew about wedding insurance. What?
Yeah, so wedding insurance is becoming where they're actually, all venues now are requiring it. And so that's something that's fairly new. What they used to do is, when I was a State Farm agent back in 2013, there was a way that you could add the wedding endorsement on a homeowner's policy. However, they changed the regulations, and it makes sense. I mean, if a loss happens, do you really want that to impact your homeowner's policy? So I have written quite a few wedding liability policies this year. Standard's like $200. It comes with $1 million liability blanket, and that's actually required now for every venue, and you have to give them that certificate before a certain date. So
I didn't know that,
yeah,
actually. And I saw people talk about that, but I didn't need it for mine because it was through the hotel, which was surprising.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised with BottleWorks that they didn't require that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, and being able to know if you're underinsured or overinsured is really valuable. Like having that determination is a big deal.
Yeah. I think what happens too is we're seeing a lot of people that are just renewing, their policy renews. There's inflation built into a policy. But what happens on these standard markets is that, you know, you keep renewing after 10 years. In that 25%, let's just say it's 25% inflation that's built in. Sometimes I see people that are hundreds, very overinsured because maybe they haven't done an annual review with your agent to make sure it's at today's value.
Yeah.
But I am seeing that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, isn't it, that it could happen? Well, it was great. Can you send, I don't know, I mean, I'll do a follow-up later today. Can you send the slides? Not that anybody's gonna go and use them any other way than to use it as a, way to well, it's definitely, you know, a lot of our insurance agents talk about different things, but they've never gone into the details like that. So that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley, you're wonderful. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to stop recording. So.
Okay. And I